Okay, hey everybody. It's such a pretty Sunday day. I thought I'd check in with you all and show you a little bit of what I'm working on. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. Last night I threw some pots on the live Facebook thing, and since then I've flipped them over. They're still drying, but they've set up a little bit, but they're not quite ready to trim yet. So the way I understand gravity and the way ceramics works, the water, if it's upside down, I need to put the phone down so I don't get you all dizzy, but the way I understand the phone works, can I start over? Live can be funny sometimes. I didn't really come prepared today, but so the reason I flipped the pot over, clay tends to dry really quick at the top, and then the bottom will still have moisture. But if you flip them over, the moisture goes down with gravity and it dries a little bit more evenly. And hopefully by the end of the day I'll be able to trim these pots that I made yesterday. What I'm doing today that I thought you all might be interested in is I'm working on a surface design. And for me, my background is two-dimensional art. I like painting and printmaking and making images. So my favorite part of working with clay is working on the surface design. So I'm going to flip this camera and show you what I'm working on. I'm real excited about it. Let's see, give me just a sec. There we go. Okay, so here's my beautiful view that I look out while I'm working. And down here is the bowl that I'm carving today. I'm going to set the tripod up and I'll pick it up and be able to show you what I'm working on. So the idea I had here is a bowl with cats dancing around the bowl. I'm not sure how well you can see this. It's a little bit backlit. Give me just a second. Let me adjust the camera and show you at a different angle. So do you see the cat? I've drawn a little cat in pencil in a pattern that goes all the way around the bowl. There's 3 cats. And I went ahead and carved the outline of the first one, and that's when I got to thinking, well, my friends might like to see this. So here we are. And I see Betsy Adams says she loves my studio, and well, I'm a busy beaver. And well, thanks, I love my studio too, and I am a busy beaver. There's a nice thing about working in pottery. There's always a next step that has to be done. You can't sit around and let your pots dry out without having put your handles on or done your carving. When I wake up, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So this weird plastic lid is what I use to catch my little shavings, my pot shavings. And I'm going to see if you could see. I think you could see what I'm doing like this. So I've got a couple little carving tools, and I'm going to pick up with this outline, and I'm just going to outline the whole design. This little tool does good line work. I might zoom in just a little bit so you can see a little better what's happening. Let me put this down and I'll move the camera just a little closer in. If you all were here in person, you would really get a kick out of how I do these videos. I'm juggling a lot of different hats at once, but hopefully you enjoy these as much as I enjoy making them. I'm always interested in the process I'm always interested in the process, and I like to see artists at work. So that's why I like to share. So I have another question from Betsy Adams. Can you reuse your pot shavings? Some of the shavings, yes, and then other shavings, no. I don't reuse the black shavings because there's a little bit of porcelain mixed in with the black glaze, and I want to keep my porcelain really clean, so I don't want to introduce the black glaze into the porcelain. But I've recently started making my own colored glazes, in which porcelain is one of the ingredients. So with the glazes that I'm mixing myself that aren't made at a commercial company, I can reuse those shavings. And I don't know if you've heard me cry about how expensive porcelain is, but it's a pretty expensive clay. It's more than twice as expensive as stoneware or earthenware clay. So I do like to keep any little scrap I can and not throw it away. So now I'm just using my little carving tool and I'm outlining my design. I've been inspired by animals surrounded by decorative flowers. So for this particular one, I'm going to have tulips. And I'm carving my little tulip design. So there's the outline for the first cat. I've got another tulip here. I'll just keep on carving away. I usually don't have an audience, and what I'll do is I'll turn my music up real loud and just kind of zone out and enjoy the process. It's a real meditative process. I get a little bit nervous because the clay is real delicate at this state. It hasn't been fired, and it's kind of brittle. Porcelain can be a little fussy before it's been fired. But as long as you're kind of gentle with it, I haven't run into too many problems. It's heartbreaking to get this far and then break a pot. But one thing I've learned with ceramics is how to not take hardship, not take accidents too hard, and just keep on going, because there's always accidents. So I just use this outliner and get the lines done. I'm not sure if you'd want to watch the whole bowl. What I might do just for demonstration purposes is switch from the outliner to the detail to the bigger carver. Timing's a big thing with clay. While I'm holding this pot, the clay is drying out, and it gets a little bit harder to carve. So you don't want to mess around. You want to have your plan of what you're going to do and get in and do it. But usually a design like this, I'll spend at least an hour. Well, I didn't finish the pencil part here. I need to draw a little bit more leaves, so that makes it easy to decide what to do with you all. I'm going to go back, I'm going to get a different carver. So now that I've done all my line work, I'm going to use a bigger carver and just cut away the background so that the beautiful white porcelain will show through. Let's see, there's a different tool I'd like to use. Here we go. Just like with printmaking, I like to leave some of the carving marks. I don't want to make it completely white because I like the look of it being carved, And I like the handcraftedness to show. And while I'm carving, I'll think about the direction of the cuts and the feeling of motion that it creates. Well, it's getting a little bit warm today. I've got a thermostat here. And it looks like we're already above 80, like 85 or so. And earlier this week it was a lot cooler. And I don't air condition my house. So in the summer I'm very aware of the climate. And that climate will change the way I work also. The clay dries a little bit faster when it's hotter and less humid, so I don't want to accidentally make too many pots, start too many pots, and then I can't do each step on time and they dry out on me. And grab my pencil. I want a little black rim right along the top of the bowl, so I'm going to take my pencil. Well, here we go. I'm going to take this pencil and I'm going to use the bowl as a guide. This finger kind of helps me keep an even distance, and I'll go all the way around the top. So that I know where to stop carving. Let's see. It looks like I have a comment from Christine. She says, I had a pottery instructor who told us that he had an instructor who made them make a few teapots and throw them against a wall to teach them a lesson about how accidents will happen and not to get too attached. Well, that's a good lesson. I don't really have to be told to break my pots, because just with my clumsiness and not always paying attention, things break all the time. And for a while I was getting real depressed. After a kiln firing, if the pots didn't work the way they were supposed to or crack, I'd have real bad depression, and I'd never want to do clay again. And obviously I've worked that out, and now I just enjoy the process. I love making pots, and I like them to be successful, but it's okay if they don't. You know, it's I don't really ride horses, but I've heard if you fall off a horse, you have to get back on, and I can relate to that with clay. If it doesn't work out, you don't want to quit. You just keep on going. You'll figure it out. So what I'll do, I'll just carve this background. Now I'm going to show you a little secret. This clay is drying pretty fast, and what I'll do is take a spray bottle and just mist it with a little bit of water. I don't want it to be so wet that the glaze on top melts or makes a mess, but I'll just mist it a little bit, and that will buy me a little bit of time. And you don't want to start carving right after misting. You want to give it a few seconds for the clay to absorb the moisture, and then it'll be a little bit easier to cut. Alright, so now let's get that carver back. You know, maybe it's a weekend thing. I don't feel like I'm very, very on top of things today. I'm looking for my tools, and I didn't have my camera set up exactly the way I wanted it when I started this video. I guess these videos are kind of like working in clay or riding horses or whatever, you can't get too hung up on it being perfect, or else you'll never make a video. And I like to think you all are more interested in just connecting with me than watching a perfect cinematographic presentation. Whatever reason you're watching, I appreciate your watching and all the positive feedback. Okay, so I just keep carving that background away. Okay, I want to be respectful of your time, so I'm not going to carve the whole pot while you're watching, but I hope you could get an idea of the way the technique works and how cutting the background, what am I trying to say? These are the steps. The next step after I do the background, I'll go back in with the smaller carver and I'll do little details like the leaves, and the cat's going to be pretty fun, so let's do the cat while you're here. I don't know why, but I start with the nose. I think this is going to be kind of like a tuxedo cat. So the face, like the muzzle's going to be white, but the rest of the cat will be black. Let's get those whiskers in. Alright, so I'm going to cut. It's kind of like the reverse of drawing, and anywhere I make a mark that turns white, let's get that. So white, and then I'm going to cut this part to give you a feeling of the shape of the cat's face. I'm going to put little things to suggest fur. Hopefully you can see this. Alright, I'll get to working. If I have to concentrate, I forget. There's a camera rolling. Okay, oh yeah. Yeah, I like the way that looks. And I want a little bit of white in the ear. And for the eyes, I think I'm going to do like a white outline. And I like critters to have little eyelashes. I think it makes them look kind of silly and happy. So there's the face, and then I'll just kind of make some fur marks. Now, this is a tuxedo cat, so there might be some more white around this part. So I'll just carve away. One leg is a back leg and the other is a tail, so that line should help differentiate the two. For some reason I want this to have white paws. I think this is a cat with white paws. Like, his name might be Socks. It's probably good to have a plan, but sometimes it's fun to just show up and not have a plan, and you get to even surprise yourself. So I'm gonna keep carving fur here. Well, I'm real happy with him. I want to clean this area up so we can see the whole, get the whole effect. I need to draw the leaves before I carve for this tulip. Okay. All right. Keep. Let's see, I've got a couple comments. Let's see. Meredith says, so much fun to watch you. As you know, I love everything you do. Your #1 fan. Well, thank you, Meredith. It's good to hear from. I know you're super busy. So I love it when we get to run into each other, even if it's just online. Hopefully everything's going well with your shop in Lexington. Any of you are needlepoint people, Meredith is a needlepoint expert. She has a shop in Lexington that has everything you could ever need, including some designs that feature my artwork. And I also have a comment from Michelle. She says, I remember reading a book in middle school by Beverly Cleary named Socks, about a cat with white paws. Well, maybe this is an illustration for the book. I want to say that that's probably a common name for cats with the white paws. Kind of like, I know a lot of cats named Midnight or Blackie, if they're black cats. My cats end up with weird names. I've got a yellow cat named Here, and he was a wild cat, and to get him to come to the house, we'd say, Here, 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 and that's ended up his name, which really confuses people. So now I want to carve around this cat, and then I'm going to stop. I don't think that this is kind of repetitive. I think it's enjoyable for me, but I don't know if you all would want to watch the whole process. I just want you to, get an idea how it works. If you're interested in clay, this might be a technique you might like to try. I do have one more thing I'd like to show you. I don't know if my clay is dry enough, but If it is, I'll show you how to put a handle on a mug. Okay, so you see, that actually went pretty quick. But it gives you the idea of how it's going to look. The color of the clay will be really dark black after it's fired and I put glaze over it. Oh, I've got a secret I could show you. This is a repeating pattern. And I developed this technique on my own, so there might be potters who do this, or it might be a new trick. When I have a repeating pattern, I used to take a piece of paper like this, and I would trace the picture onto the clay. And something I ran into is you can't see through the paper. So I had some plastic laying around. Do you see this? You could see through the plastic. I thought, well, I'll bet that would make a cool template for a repeating pattern. So I drew the first cat freehand, and I knew that I wanted the same cat evenly spaced all the way around the pot. So what I did is I took this plastic and I wrapped it over the drawing that I had, and then I took a Sharpie marker, and with the Sharpie I made an outline. And you see I didn't really get a lot of details, but it's just enough so that the cat doesn't get too big or too small. It doesn't end up so close that the design doesn't flow evenly. And then once I have it on plastic, I would take this little tool. It's a little stylus that my friend Molly gave me. I think Molly's watching. Molly, I love these. Thanks so much. And I'll go over the design and just make a little indentation. And the marks are good enough that I could come back with a pencil and draw it a little bit better. So that's my trick of the day. That's really helped me with putting designs on my pots. I'm going to put this down and show you how my handles work. Okay, we're going to go to a different part of the studio. This isn't a big space, so it's kind of funny to say. Now we'll go to this section. Okay, so now we're at this section, and I've got some handles that I made earlier, and I'm waiting for them to firm up. Sometimes when clay is too wet, it almost has the consistency of soft ice cream, and it's real delicate. You have to be real careful. This is close. This is still a little bit wetter than I want it to be, but to show you how the process works, I'm going to grab a mug that I trimmed earlier. I made these mugs about 5 days ago, and I keep them in an airtight container so it's still soft. I could still scratch into the clay, but it is firm enough that it's not going to collapse if I put some pressure on it while I'm holding it. And you can see these marks here. This is part of the process to put a handle on a mug, and I was trying to do it too early when the handle was still too soft. So these marks are kind of left over from a failed try at putting a handle on. So let me put this camera like this. Let's see, maybe I'll go back just a hair. Hopefully I'm not making you all seasick moving the camera around. Okay, so This clay has firmed up pretty good. There's not a lot of moisture in it. It still has some moisture, but it's a lot drier than this handle. And when you join two things that are different moistures, there's a risk that they could pop off because they'll dry at different speeds. And usually the handle dries faster because there's clay that's away from the body of the pot, and you'll see little cracks around the edge, and if you have bad luck, they could pop off. So what you want to do is you want to even the moisture between the cup and the handle. So what I'll do is I'll take a little tool and I'll roughen up the area where I want the handle to meet the pot. And I'll also roughen up the handle part where it's going to meet the pot. Do you see how much softer that is? It's almost mush. And I think this is a little softer than I'd normally put a handle on, but I want to show you how it works. So after that, I'll take some really wet clay. The clay is so wet that it's a liquid, really. So it's mostly water, but there's a little bit of porcelain clay in that water. And I'll put that on the area that I roughed up. And I'll do the same thing on the handle part. And then I'll just push the handle on, and the pressure should make it stick. This handle's a little bit delicate, so I'm nervous about putting too much pressure. Do you see how easily that can get distorted? And then I'll think about the way it's going to be held. And shape my handle. Now, I could just stop like this and let the moisture even out between the cup and the handle, but I like my handles to look like they have grown out of the cup and not look like they were attached to the cup. So I have an extra step. I'll take some clay and I'll make a little snake, and I'll roughen it up the same way I did the same way that I did the handle. I'll roughen up that. And I already have a lot of liquid clay there. If there wasn't a lot of liquid clay, I might put some here. I'll do it just because it's good practice. And then I'll put that around the join. And I'll get a little wood tool. I'll get a little wood tool like this, and I'll push that clay onto the pot and then also onto the handle. And at this stage, this handle's real soft. I normally wouldn't try to attach a handle right now. So what I'm going to do is let this sit and stiffen up a little bit. And then I'll touch it up so that it looks seamless and you won't notice where the handle meets the cup. It should look like the cup, or the handle just grew out of the cup. And I'm going to do that on the bottom as well. Just going to roughen up that little snake of clay. And then I'm going to wrap it around where the handle meets the pot. And then I'll take my wood tool and make sure I've got a good join. I'm not going to smooth it out until it's shirred up a little more. So with clay, it's all about timing. You want to do the right thing at the right time. Okay, so I'm going to leave this alone. Maybe I'll grab a spring. To clean it up just a little bit so you can see what it looks like. I'll clean it a lot more, make it prettier when the clay isn't so soft. Okay, so that's all I have to share today. I'm going to turn this around and just say hi and bye to everybody. Hopefully you enjoy watching these. I enjoy sharing what I'm working on. I'm trying not to go out very much just to be safe about the pandemic, and I don't want to make something awful any worse by spreading anything or picking anything up. So these little videos help me feel a little more connected to my friends and family that I can't see in person. So thanks for watching. I'm going to look real quick and see if there's any more comments. It doesn't look like there are. So well, actually, Christine just made a comment. So she says she has the teeny metal loop tools like you do, but what is the wooden one that you're using? What Christine's asking about is my little metal tools. I've got a feeling she's talking about this little metal tool to scrape the clay off the pot, but she wants to know about this tool. This is made by a company called Diamond Core Tools, and they're made for carving in clay, and they're really expensive, and they work really well. But their customer service wasn't really super duper, and for as much as they charge, they break really easy. So I don't think I'm going to keep using this tool. But there's another company that makes something completely the same, and it's half the cost. And I think they're called Crown Point tools. So looking back, I'd probably recommend the half as expensive one that looks like the exact same thing. You know, but hopefully that helps. Let's see. I kind of hate to recommend that company that I bought the tool and it broke twice within a month, and I contacted them about it, and they weren't very helpful. So other than wanting to sell me another one, which I love it so much I bought it. But anyway, so I've said goodbye and I've said thank you. So I'm going to let you all enjoy your weekend, the rest of your weekend. Hopefully you're doing good things, enjoying the day, and thanks for watching. Take care.